Aravindha Sen writes, "Hey AMC crew, love this show. When it comes to the DC universe, from what I've read from interviews with the actors, such as Jason Momoa, what they all talk about is Zack Snyder's vision for the entire DC universe. These statements, plus the fact that he is producing Wonder Woman and Suicide Squad, make him sound like he is the Kevin Feige of this universe. But I've heard John say that he thinks a director may not be the right person to tackle that role. So I'm curious to see why you think that may be the case."
Yeah, it's kind of a funny thing because I'm one of those guys that I unabashedly completely bought in and loved Man of Steel. I love what Zack Snyder did with that film. Zack Snyder is also hit and miss. I mean, he's done some really, really great work. And then he's done some very, very poor work. We're looking at Sucker Punch and stuff like that, right? And so I love what he did with Man of Steel. I just don't think that a director is the guy to over shepherd an entire movie universe like that. I like that Kevin Feige is a guy who's not directing any of those films. He's a guy who in a dispassionate way sits back and kind of understands the whole picture and nudges and guides his directors along the way about the overall vision. And because he's not invested in the movie he's directing. And so I agree with you. It is looking more and more like Zack Snyder's kind of becoming that Kevin Feige figure. They have not said that. Nobody has said that officially. But I agree. It kind of looks like that, right? And that does concern me. As much as I love what he did with Man of Steel, as much as I'm looking forward to Batman versus Superman, I would be concerned if they started pouring the power for the overall franchise into him. I just don't think it's the right move. If it is what they're doing, hopefully I'm proved wrong. Anyway, Mark, what do you think?
I think this goes back to what we were talking about with Star Wars, where people were concerned, or maybe they want J.J. Abrams to be involved in every Star Wars movie, and it's like, no, you got to pull back because he is a director. He's very closely attached to his film, and you can't have him oversee the entire universe. I think what people miss sometimes is that sometimes the most famous person in any given pool is the one that you're going to go to. So a lot of people, for whatever reason, know who Kevin Feige is. As many people may not know the other people at DC, but they know who Zack Snyder is. Same thing with Lucasfilm, where not everybody's going to know who Kathleen Kennedy is, but they all know J.J. Abrams is one of the guys who's bringing his vision on board the future of these films. So I think Zack Snyder, I don't think he should be the guy to oversee the entire DC universe, and I don't think he is the guy. He's producing some films. He's got a great visual flair. I think he's a very talented dude, but I think you need other people around him to inject more story into it. Because unlike you, I didn't love Man of Steel at all for that exact reason. Thought visually it looked fantastic. I wanted a little more meat on it.
Shep?
Well, I think Zack Snyder has demonstrated through his comic book adaptations that he's not just a director, but he's also a producer with his wife. They produce all the films. Mm-hmm. So I think coming at it from that perspective, I think them overseeing the DC cinematic universe kind of falls into a little bit of a Feige, even though, Feige's not directing, he's kind of overseeing the tone of everything, as we saw with Edgar Wright being taken off the film. Tonally, it's got the tone that Kevin Feige wants. If he wants a little bit more humor, he's going to go towards someone like James Gunn who can add that flavor that they want. They're like, look, we want it off the rails. We want to try it. We got a tree and a raccoon. Go for it, dude. You know what I mean? I think with somebody like Snyder, he's not going to direct all of them. He's going to do, like he did Man of Steel, now he's doing Batman v Superman. Then he's going to do Justice League 1 and 2. I don't think he's going to have anything to do with the new Batmans. We're hoping that Ben Affleck is going to be directing those. I don't think he's going to be directing Wonder Woman. He's not going to be directing Aquaman. He's not going to be directing the Flash movie version. I think what they're doing is they're setting the cinematic tone for the DC universe, taking the jump from Man of Steel that already had a little bit of that flavor from Nolan's Dark Knight series. So all that stuff is that's the DC tone, that kind of realistic, grim, gritty. And remember, we talked about that many months ago. DC said no humor. It was some mandate that it's not going to be funny. None of us ever took that seriously. It was more hey, the mandate was more we're not going to be goofy or fall into the realm of you really had to say that, Thor, that kind of back and forth Chimo stuff, which we love from Marvel. But that's that Marvel tone. So DC's going to have that different tone. And I think that's what it's all about. I don't think Snyder's going to be, every single shot they're going to or when a director's making Wonder Woman, it's going to have that weird slow-mo Snyder stuff in there because he's producing it,
He's just breathing in the editing room. Let's do some more slow-mo in
I think
here.
we got to ramp up that shot, do the speed ramp thing. So I don't think that's going to be the case, but I think it's about tone. So,
and you just brought up a name. If anybody's going to be the shepherd of this sort of thing, and if it had to be a director, I want it to be Ben Affleck. I mean, everybody knows his geek cred and what his background is with the comic books and stuff. The guy has a Batcave built into his house, for heaven's sakes. But and he is simply one of the best directors in Hollywood right now. Everything he directs is an A+. And his last one he directed won Best Picture of the Year. Directors Guild of America gave him Best Director of the Year. I mean, all that kind of stuff. So if you had to have a relationship there where Ben Affleck is directing something, don't tell me Zack Snyder has authority over him. Don't tell me Ben Affleck's got to answer to Zack Snyder. I'm a Zack Snyder fan, but I would love to see like maybe a Ben Affleck in that type of a role if we were going to have a director, and I don't want it to be a director. But if you did, I think that's the name to go for.
I don't think it would ever be like. I think Snyder would defer if Ben Affleck and like Chris Terrio were like, "Hey, we know you suggest this, but we can't. We hung out last night. We came up with this." They probably plussed the scene or made it better. Yeah. And I don't think anyone would be like, no, Ben Affleck, you Oscar winner, get away from me. I think it would be like, thank you, dude. That's such a cool idea that you worked on our thing and made it better. I think that's how it kind of works. Everybody has a synergy. So, and that's the one thing that you always hear about Zack Snyder. He is obsessively collaborative. Yeah. He likes working with the people around him, which is really cool.
That's a great point too. Is it there's no right way or wrong way to do this. Just because Marvel has a great template with the Kevin Feige is the overhead of everything, and he goes on stage and introduces all their cool movies, and DC does it in a different way. Doesn't mean it's the wrong way to do it. If you can sit around in a room and have a bunch of directors all collaborate and just have one great Abraham Lincoln meeting about this, maybe that's the way to go going forward for DC, and it could work.
Hey everyone, if you liked this video, click that thumbs up button and make sure to subscribe to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. It's free and helps you stay up to date with all the latest movie news, as well as our daily AMC movie talk show. Also, make sure that you follow us on Facebook and Twitter to stay up to date with all of our special promotions, contests, and prize giveaways.